Hey everybody, following on from that E5 replay, I've now got another good generalist, the M48 Patton, or as it's more commonly known to some of us, the Fatten. Deadmon's brought along his M60, the Clan Wars reward tank. It's basically the same as the M48, it's got slightly better soft stats in many aspects, but it's also a slightly bigger target. The raised engine deck can give you problems. Now, the Fatten looks a lot like the E5, and this is a theme that continues with a lot of the post-war American tanks. The Fatten, the E5, the M103 all basically share the same general hull design. I mean, obviously different sizes, slightly different shapes, but the layout of the hull and suspension unit is pretty much identical. The Americans obviously found something that they really liked, something that worked for them, and they stuck with it, much the same way that the Soviets stuck with the arrangement found on the T-54, 54, 55, 62, so on, and continued basically with the torsion bar suspension with quite broad tracks. Fuck that, we lose, calls a Centurion, not realizing that you kind of do want to push all one direction on this map. The enemy E100 is caught crossing the open by myself and Deadmon, and I set him on fire with a shot to the fuel tanks. He does manage to extinguish it after a couple of ticks, but he's already lost most of his health and he will not be getting that back. I sit on the ridge a little longer just to see if anything else behind him gets lit. We happen to find a Waffenträger E100 there, but myself and Deadmon begin pouring fire onto it, and thankfully our other teammates focus it down as well. It also catches fire, and Deadmon's able to finish it off. That's the biggest threat on this side of the map dealt with. The 183 is still up, but he is not as scary as an angry Waffenträger. IS-7 spotted him back, gets a shot into me. It actually bounces, only damaging one of my tracks. I'm able to get a penning shot into him, and Deadmon also puts some supporting fire in. At this point I cross in front of his gun, the IS-7's taking cover behind a building, but I carelessly push along this high ground for too long, and so out pops the IS-7, he's hull down to me, I cannot pen him, and he puts a shot straight through me. This one doesn't bounce, so I move into the low ground here, looking for safety. I'm now completely masked by terrain to the IS-7, he can't see me at all, and oh dear god, my life just flashed before my eyes, and I'm gonna do an instant fucking replay of that as soon as the actual main replay is over, because I want to see where that shell went. It looked like it went straight through the middle of my tank's turret ring. And if that's the case, then Wargaming's claim about fixing ghost shells might be a little premature. Of course, it's also possible that it was just because I was moving at the time, the tracer cut under the turret and just missed the ring, but that should have killed me. Not wanting to dwell too long on how lucky I just got, I move in through these two. They're dealt with, so I don't need to worry about it. But there's still the IS-7 down there in the low ground. I'm already at nearly 3,000 damage, which is a pretty decent match in Fatten. I tend to do quite a lot of damage in this thing. It's got a good, fast-firing gun. It's not the highest DPM in tier, in fact it's quite far from it as far as I'm aware, but it's a good handling gun and it pens well, so although it's not the fastest, you do quite a lot of effective damage. It's also a good generally mobile platform. Really the Fatten's just a typical American tank in that it's good at everything but excellent at nothing. Really the only aspect of the Fatten which is far and away superior to other tanks is the gun depression, but it's not superior to the FV4202, or indeed its upcoming replacement. Or the STB, now I think about it, or the AMX-30B. In fact, with all these recent Western tanks coming into the game, at tier 10, the Fatten no longer really has a niche other than just being a generalist. And I think that might be upset by the Centurion Action X, but I'll talk about that when I come to it. I have been playing the Action X on the test server. It is probably my favorite tier 10 medium now. It's absolutely fantastic, and I think puts the British up the top of the tier 10 medium rankings list. It's really everything I could have asked for from 4202. The enemy mouse rolls across the bridge. Unfortunately, he's at roughly a 40-45 degree angle to me, so I'm not likely to get a shot through him. Even though the Patton's gun can technically punch through that armor, at this angle it's just too difficult. So what I'm looking for is his turret. Either him turning his turret face towards me so I can hit it in the cheeks, or him turning the turret enough away from me that I have a decent angle on the side. I did look for one on the 4502 there, but it wasn't going to happen. I do finally get a shot through the mouse. It's a low roll, of course, leaving him at 15 hit points and allowing him to get just a little bit more damage there on Deadmon before he's finally dealt with. The last enemy is the 4502A. I try for a sneaky shot there, but he turns away and pulls behind the building, and that's going to be my last shot of the match. I do go to close the distance between us, but there's not much point. There are teammates much closer to him than I am, and they will probably be able to deal with him before I do. Worth noting is that one of our arty began clamoring for us to cap when the enemy were pushing across the bridge in A5, A6. Why? This map, if you have to assault across a bridge like that against a numerically superior enemy, you're going to get your ass kicked. That's what makes this map tend to play so campily. Not so badly now, but it used to be a lot worse for it. That's why. You don't want to be caught crossing that bridge by a crossfire, or any kind of fire really, because you can't get off of it. So I closed the game out with just under 4,000 damage dealt. Pretty decent number. I've still got some hit points left, although not many. And so, let's go take a look at what the fuck exactly happened with that 183 shell. Alright, so here we go. We spot each other. I begin lining up the shot and get it out. And the 183 fires just a moment here. Of course, my sixth sense goes off 3 seconds after I'm lit. Here comes the shell. I think what happened is that the shell actually went over here somewhere, just to the right of my turret, very narrowly missed me. It almost skimmed the armor, but because I was reversing, the tracer clipped through my tank and it actually appeared to have hit somewhere around here. So, I mean, I'd be pretty pissed off if I was that 183. In fact, I'd be fucking furious, but it looks like it was legit. Again, this game's netcode isn't the greatest at times, and the tracer display can be a bit odd, but I think that was a fair miss. Albeit a fair miss that scared the shit out of me and made me appreciate just how lucky I was. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. As I said, the Fatten is a good generalist, just like the E5 is. That is the running theme of the American tank trees. They just do everything well, nothing spectacularly, except for some. For example, the turretless tank destroyer tree up top has ridiculous frontal armor, but the E4 is more sort of a generalist in line with the other tanks. Anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.